Today, BMW stands as one of the most respected luxury automotive brands in the world. Every year, the company sells more than 2 million vehicles, generates tens of billions of dollars in revenue, and competes with some of the biggest names in the automotive industry, including Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Porsche, and Tesla. Its iconic blue and white badge has become a global symbol of engineering excellence, luxury, innovation, and driving performance. Whether it's a legendary M division, cutting-edge electric vehicles, or high-performance sports sedans, BMW has built a reputation that millions of people admire and aspire to own. But here's the question very few people ever ask. How did a company that once struggled to build reliable aircraft engines become one of the most valuable luxury car brands on Earth? The answer isn't as simple as hard work or good engineering. BMW survived 2 world wars, lost its original founder, came under political pressure during Nazi Germany, saw its factories destroyed, stood on the brink of bankruptcy, and even faced a real possibility of disappearing forever. More than once, experts believed the company had reached the end of its journey. Yet, somehow, it always found a way back. So, what was the secret? Was it revolutionary engineering, visionary leadership, or a series of bold business decisions that completely changed the company's future? To uncover the answer, we have to travel back more than a century, to a time when BMW didn't build luxury cars, didn't dominate racetracks, and wasn't a global icon. It was simply a small engineering company with one ambitious dream, a dream that would survive wars, economic collapse, and history itself to become one of the greatest automotive success stories ever told. Long before BMW became a global symbol of luxury and performance, it was nothing more than an ambitious idea born inside the mind of a young engineer. There were no sports cars, no roaring M engines, and certainly no billion-dollar empire. Instead, there was only a man who believed that engineering could shape the future. His name was Carl Friedrich Rapp. Born in the Kingdom of Bavaria, Germany, Rapp developed a fascination with machines at an early age. While most people simply admired technology, he wanted to understand how it worked. Every engine, every mechanical system, and every innovation represented a new challenge waiting to be solved. That curiosity eventually led him into mechanical engineering, a field that was evolving rapidly as Europe entered the industrial age. After completing his education, Rapp joined Daimler Motor in Gesellschaft, one of Germany's leading engineering companies, and one of the businesses that would later become part of Mercedes-Benz. For many engineers, working at Daimler was considered the peak of success. It offered stability, prestige, and the opportunity to work alongside some of the brightest minds in industry. But Carl Rapp wanted something different. He wasn't interested in spending his life building someone else's company. He wanted to build his own. That decision reflected a lesson still relevant in business today. Many successful entrepreneurs don't leave secure careers because they dislike their jobs. They leave because they see opportunities others don't. Rapp believed the future belonged to industries that were still in their infancy, and one industry fascinated him more than any other: aviation. At the beginning of the 20th century, powered flight was still a revolutionary concept. Airplanes had only recently proven they could fly, and governments across Europe were investing heavily in aviation technology. Faster aircraft required stronger, lighter, and more reliable engines. To engineers like Carl Rapp, this wasn't just another market. It was the future of transportation and national defense. He accepted a leadership role at a company manufacturing aircraft engines, hoping it would become the foundation of a long and successful career. Instead, the company ran into financial trouble and eventually collapsed. For most people, losing a company would have marked the end of their entrepreneurial journey. For Carl Rapp, it became the beginning. In 1913, determined not to abandon his vision, he founded Rapp Motor & Work on the very same site where he had previously worked. The mission was clear: design aircraft engines capable of competing with the best manufacturers in Germany. It was a bold move. Starting an engineering company required skilled workers, expensive machinery, and significant capital. Failure was common, especially in industries driven by rapid technological change. Yet Rapp believed that if he could build a superior engine, success would eventually follow. Sometimes, however, timing matters just as much as innovation. Only a year after Rapp established his company, Europe was thrown into the chaos of World War I. The conflict transformed the aviation industry almost overnight. Military forces urgently needed aircraft, and aircraft needed engines. Suddenly, companies capable of producing aviation technology found themselves in enormous demand for RAP motoring work. It seemed like the perfect opportunity. Government contracts began arriving, production expanded, and the workforce grew rapidly. Within just 2 years, the company employed hundreds of workers and appeared to be on a path toward becoming one of Germany's most important engine manufacturers. From the outside, everything looked promising, but appearances can be deceiving. Behind the factory walls, engineers were facing a serious problem. RAP's engines weren't performing as expected. During testing, many suffered from excessive vibration and reliability issues. In aviation, even a small mechanical failure could have catastrophic consequences. Military officials quickly noticed the difference between RAP's engines and those produced by rival manufacturers. As confidence declined, so did new contracts. The company that had grown so quickly suddenly found itself fighting for survival. This is one of the harshest realities in business. A great vision means very little if the product fails to meet expectations. Customers may forgive clever marketing. They rarely forgive poor performance. Karl Rapp understood engineering, but building a successful business required more than technical expertise. It required leadership, organization, quality control, and the ability to deliver consistently under pressure. Without those elements, even the most ambitious companies can collapse. By 1916, Rapp Motoring Work was facing an uncertain future. Competitors were winning major military contracts, while Rapp struggled to convince customers that his engines could be trusted. It seemed only a matter of time before the company disappeared altogether. Then, in the middle of the crisis, an unexpected opportunity arrived. Desperate to increase aircraft engine production during the war, the military placed a large order with Rapp Motoring Work. The contract gave the struggling company another chance, but it came with an important condition. The government wanted someone inside the factory to supervise production, improve efficiency, and ensure every engine met strict military standards. That man was Franz Joseph Popp. At first, Popp appeared to be nothing more than a government inspector, but within months, he would become the most influential person inside the company. And Karl Rapp had no idea that the man sent to help save his business was about to change its future forever. When Franz Joseph Popp first arrived at Rapp Motoring Work, he wasn't there to build a new company. He was there to save an existing one. Officially, Popp had been sent by the military to supervise production and ensure that the company's aircraft engines met wartime standards. Germany was deeply involved in World War I, and every engine leaving the factory had to perform flawlessly. Failure was no longer just a business problem. It had become a national concern. But the moment Popp walked through the factory, he realized the company's biggest problem wasn't its engineers. It was its leadership. The factory was filled with talented people. The equipment was modern, the workforce was growing, and demand for aircraft engines had never been higher. Yet deadlines were constantly being missed, departments lacked coordination, and quality control was inconsistent. Karl Rapp had the mind of an engineer, but running a rapidly expanding business required a completely different set of skills. Popp understood something that many entrepreneurs learn the hard way. Building a great product is only half the battle. Building a great organization is what creates lasting success. Instead of criticizing the company from the outside, Popp immediately began reorganizing from within. Production processes were streamlined, communication between departments improved, and experienced engineers were brought in to strengthen the design team. Slowly but steadily, the chaos inside the factory began to disappear. As operations improved, confidence in the company began to return. The board of directors noticed the transformation. Military officials noticed the improvement. Even employees started believing the business had a future again. But with every improvement Popp made, his influence inside the company continued to grow. At the same time, Karl Rapp's influence began to fade. It wasn't because he lacked intelligence. It wasn't because he lacked ambition. It was because the company had reached a stage where technical expertise alone was no longer enough. Every growing business eventually reaches a point where leadership becomes more important than invention. For Rapp Motoring Work, that moment had arrived. In 1917, Karl Rapp stepped away from the company he had founded. For any entrepreneur, losing control of your own business is one of the hardest experiences imaginable. The company that began as a personal dream was now moving in a completely different direction under someone else's leadership. Yet history often reminds us that great companies are rarely built by one person alone. Sometimes, one founder creates a vision, another builds the organization, and together, they create something far greater than either could have achieved alone. With Carl Rapp gone, Franz Josef Popp began reshaping the company's future. One of his first decisions was both simple and revolutionary. The company needed a new identity. The name Rapp Motoring Work was closely tied to its founder and carried little recognition outside Germany. Popp wanted a name that reflected both the company's engineering ambitions and its Bavarian roots. The new name became Bayerische Motorenwerke, or, as the world would later know it, BMW. It was a bold decision. Changing a company's name during wartime was risky, but Popp understood the importance of branding long before it became a business buzzword. People don't just remember products. They remember names. A strong brand creates trust before a customer ever experiences the product. That philosophy would become one of BMW's greatest strengths over the next century. Around the same period, BMW introduced a blue and white roundel that would eventually become one of the most recognizable logos in the automotive world. Many people still believe the emblem represents a spinning aircraft propeller cutting through the sky. It's a popular story, but the truth is slightly different. The logo's blue and white colors were inspired by the flag of Bavaria, the German state where the company was founded. Although later advertising campaigns connected the symbol with aviation, its original design reflected the company's regional identity and engineering heritage. Sometimes, the stories people tell about a brand become almost as powerful as the brand itself. With a new name and a stronger organization, BMW turned its attention back to engineering. The result was the BMW 3A aircraft engine. Unlike many engines of its time, the 3A delivered exceptional performance at high altitudes, where thinner air normally reduced engine power. This technological breakthrough gave German aircraft a significant advantage during the final years of World War I and established BMW as one of Germany's most respected engine manufacturers. For the first time, BMW wasn't simply surviving. It was leading. It looked as though the company had finally secured its future. But history had one more surprise waiting. In November 1918, World War I came to an end. Germany's defeat brought consequences far beyond the battlefield. Under the Treaty of Versailles, German companies were prohibited from manufacturing military aircraft and aircraft engines. For BMW, the decision was devastating. Its most successful product had suddenly become illegal to produce. Imagine spending years perfecting a technology, only to discover that you could never sell it again. Factories that had been filled with activity fell silent. Orders disappeared overnight. The market that had fueled BMW's rapid growth simply vanished. Once again, the company stood at the edge of uncertainty. Everything Franz Josef Popp had worked so hard to build seemed ready to collapse. But while most companies see crisis as the end of the road, great companies see crisis as the beginning of reinvention. Losing the aircraft engine business could have ended BMW forever. The company had lost its biggest source of income. Its primary market had disappeared, and thousands of skilled workers suddenly had very little to build. For most businesses, that would have marked the beginning of bankruptcy. But BMW made a decision that would define its future for the next century. Instead of asking, how do we save our old business? The company asked a much better question. What can our engineering build next? That single shift in thinking changed everything. BMW redirected its expertise toward products that Germany still needed. The company manufactured industrial equipment, railway braking systems, and motorcycle engines. These products didn't make headlines, but they kept the business alive while many competitors disappeared. Then, in 1923, BMW introduced a machine that quietly announced the company's return, the BMW R32 motorcycle. At first glance, it looked like another motorcycle entering a growing market, but beneath its frame was something different. Its horizontally opposed boxer engine offered smoother performance, better balance, and greater reliability than many competing designs. It wasn't just another product. It was a statement. BMW wasn't interested in copying others. It wanted to engineer something better. The R32 quickly earned a reputation for quality and performance, and BMW motorcycles began winning races and setting speed records across Europe. More importantly, they rebuilt public trust in the BMW name. And trust, once earned, becomes one of the most valuable assets any business can own. With momentum growing, BMW took another bold step. In 1928, the company entered the automobile industry by acquiring Fahrzeugfabrik, giving BMW access to automobile production. Soon after, it launched its first production car. It wasn't a luxury icon. It wasn't a sports car. But it represented something far more important. BMW had officially entered the automotive business. Throughout the 1930s, the company refined its engineering philosophy. Models like the elegant BMW 327 combined performance, comfort, and distinctive styling, while the famous twin-kidney grille began to establish BMW's visual identity. Everything appeared to be moving in the right direction. Then, history intervened once again. As Germany prepared for another global conflict, the government redirected industrial production toward military needs. BMW was once again pushed back into aircraft engine manufacturing. Although the company benefited financially from government contracts, it also became increasingly dependent on political decisions rather than market demand. Franz Joseph Popp had always believed BMW's future belonged in commercial engineering, not wartime production. But during the Nazi era, companies had little freedom to choose their direction. World War II left BMW in one of the worst positions in its history. Several factories were heavily damaged. Production came to a standstill, and one of the company's largest facilities in Eisenach fell under Soviet control after the war. For years, vehicles carrying the BMW name were produced there without the company's control. The future looked uncertain once again. Yet BMW refused to disappear. During the 1950s, the company returned with ambitious luxury models like the BMW 501 and the stunning BMW 507. Technically, they were masterpieces. Commercially, they were disasters. The 507, now considered one of the most beautiful classic cars ever built, was simply too expensive to manufacture. BMW reportedly lost money on nearly every unit it sold. At the same time, Volkswagen dominated the market with affordable cars like the Beetle, attracting customers that BMW couldn't reach. By 1959, BMW was running out of money. Bankruptcy seemed inevitable. Even Daimler-Benz explored acquiring the company. Had that deal happened, BMW might have disappeared as an independent brand forever. Then came the turning point. The Quandt family invested heavily in BMW, giving the company the financial support it desperately needed. Around the same time, BMW launched the 700, a compact, affordable car that sold far better than expected. It generated the cash flow the company needed to survive and restored confidence among investors. But survival wasn't enough. BMW needed a long-term vision. That vision arrived in 1962 with the New E-Class, or New Class, a new generation of sports sedans that perfectly balanced luxury, practicality, and driving performance. The success of these cars completely reshaped BMW's identity. From that moment on, BMW stopped chasing competitors. Competitors started chasing BMW. Throughout the following decades, the company introduced legendary models, expanded globally, and created the iconic M Division, proving that luxury and motorsport could exist together. Cars like the M1, M3, and later generations of high-performance BMWs established the brand as the ultimate driving machine for millions of enthusiasts around the world. Today, BMW produces well over 2 million vehicles every year, operates manufacturing facilities across multiple continents, employs more than 150,000 people, and generates tens of billions of euros in annual revenue. Alongside its traditional lineup, the company is investing heavily in electric mobility, digital technology, hydrogen fuel cell research, and sustainable manufacturing, ensuring it remains competitive in the future of transportation. But perhaps BMW's greatest achievement isn't measured in revenue, or production numbers, or market share. It's measured in resilience. Because BMW didn't become one of the world's greatest automotive companies by avoiding failure. It became one by learning how to reinvent itself every single time history forced it to change. That is the real business secret behind BMW. Engineering created its products. Leadership protected its future. Innovation kept it relevant. And resilience built its legacy. If BMW had given up after World War I, there would have been no R32. If it had surrendered after World War II, there would have been no new E-Class. And if it had accepted bankruptcy in 1959, there would have been no M Division, no legendary sports sedans, and no global luxury empire. Sometimes, success doesn't belong to the company that starts first. It belongs to the one that refuses to quit. Now we'd love to hear from you. What do you think was the biggest turning point in BMW's incredible journey? Was it the decision to leave aircraft engines behind, the launch of the BMW 700, or the revolutionary new E-Class that transformed the company's future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We genuinely love to hear your perspective. And if you enjoy premium business documentaries that uncover the untold stories behind the world's most iconic brands, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next documentary. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.